Hello, everyone, and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV and the First Division show. Paul Tierney here, joined by Gary Spain after another fantastic week of football after the break. Gary, how are we?
All good, Paul. Keeping well, yeah.
Good stuff, good stuff. We'll kick straight off into it then. So we'll start with Brian Shelburne. Shels got a 4-1 win over down in the Carlisle. Another double for Ryan Brennan. Ali Gilchrist and Michael O'Connor got the other goals. Connor Clifford did pull one back for Bray, but Shels just showed their dominance again. Another dominating victory, and it's looking pretty inevitable for promotion now, Gary.
Yeah, it looks pretty ominous. I know even Gary Cronin said it afterwards that he reckons the division is over. I agree with him. I think we've been saying this for a few weeks. Shels do look the best side in it. They've got quite a commanding lead, and it's very hard to see anybody even put in the run of consistency that's needed to challenge them. And Bray actually have been a side I think are probably in a bit of a false position. I think they're probably better than their league position indicates, but that was some thumping to take. And Shels are just going from strength to strength, and there's just no way they'll be caught. And I think the other teams now are playing for the playoff places. One positive I will say for Bray is that I think Gary Shaw started his first game of the season, and it's great to see him back fit. I might not be saying that with my treaty hat on, but from just from the league perspective and a Bray perspective, he's a crucial player for them. He's an experienced player. He's been around the league so long. He scores a lot of goals, and I think he could be the man if they can keep him fit to spur them onto a playoff position. But as Gary Cronin said, there's no way they're catching Shels.
Yeah, definitely. I agree myself, not being biased at all. It's just from the look of it already. We have to talk about Ryan Brennan. He's having some season.
He is. I mean, another one of that great Brennan clan. They're sure able to. There's some players, and he's absolutely flying. I mean, I saw him against Treaty. He just came off the bench, but he made a difference there a few weeks ago. And look, he's quite a player, and but one of many talented players at Talca, and Shels are just they look unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I know you said it's good to have that Bray have Gary Shaw back. 2 defeats from 2 now. They were being kind of consistent. They got a couple of wins before that, and they weren't really losing any games. They've lost a couple now against teams who they see themselves directly up against for promotion. Is that a bit of a worry?
I think it probably has to be a worry. Now, one of those defeats was against Treaty. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't make the match, but I saw it in the stream. And in fairness, I mean, I have been saying Treaty were unlucky in a few games this season. This wasn't one of them, and I think they were fortunate to go in at half-time scoreless. And I thought it was a case of trying to hang on for 0-0, and they got a couple of late goals to nearly steal the game. That was a fantastic win for Treaty. But I mean, I'm sure it was a sickening defeat for Bray. It sounds like this one was totally different and much more comprehensive for Shels. But I still expect Bray to bounce back. They're probably, as I said, they're probably the side I think are in a false position, and I would be almost certain they will reach the playoffs, and they will pick up points, even though they're a couple of points outside the playoff zone at the moment. But for me, they look one of the better sides in the division, and there won't be too many teams apart from Shels who will finish ahead of them.
Yeah, and as we did mention as well, Shels have gone 8 points clear with that victory. 8 points clear ahead of UCD. We'll get onto them shortly. But we'll go over to your side now, Gary. Treaty United, another victory, 2-1 over Wexford.
Yeah, it was a great win for Treaty. Went to goal down so early on in the game, and it was a disappointing goal to concede. It was just a long ball over the top, and look, it was a great finish, but you shouldn't really be caught out like that, particularly caught cold in the first 2 minutes. But they showed great character to come back, and it was a cracking opening. Let's say first half or opening 20 minutes even, because Treaty were level after 10 minutes. A good cross from the right, Anto O'Donnell totally unmarked at the far post, and he beat Jimmy Corcoran all ends up with a header. And within another 9 minutes, Treaty were ahead. That was a really great move between Joel Custrain, Mark Ludden, helped on by Kieran Hanlon, and Jack Lynch came in at the far post to finish it. And it was 2-1 after 19 minutes, and that actually proved to be the end of the scoring. But both teams had chances for the rest of the first half. Second half didn't look so good. It was probably a poor enough second half. Treaty did sit back a bit, but looked... when I was watching it, I was kind of a bit nervous. But I mean, in truth, looking back, it was probably comfortable enough. And Wexford didn't really threaten Tygrind too much. He didn't have any saves to make, really, that I can recall in the second half. And but a very good win, a first away win for Treaty this season. I mean, they're in third place, but that's been mainly down to performances in the Markets Field, where they're unbeaten. But this is the first time they've actually gone away from home and won. And although there were a couple of situations when they entered the 90th minute ahead against Galway and Shels, but couldn't close it out. So, but it was good to get a first away win, and hopefully a second one on Saturday in Cove.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I just a quick one on Wexford as well. Obviously, a lot improved the last few weeks. I was at their game against Cabinteely, and they're putting up fights now, which is the main thing. And they obviously gave Treaty a very, very difficult game the other night, going one ahead as well.
Yeah, they did. They are going to take points off teams. They are going to be difficult to beat, particularly down in Ferry Carrick Park. And they've got much better organised. Larkin Fitzgerald is in there at the back, still going strong. Great talker, great organiser. I'm not sure what age he is now, but he certainly he does a job, and they will cause problems for teams. Now, they might struggle. They probably will finish bottom of the table, but they will be difficult, and they will pick up points. It's not going to be the soft touch, I suppose, it seemed to have been a few weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely agree. And we'll just briefly go over to Treaty. What a start. Do you think they're going to sneak into those playoff spots? And do you think they might get promoted?
I maybe I'm dreaming a bit too much now. I think promotion is probably too big an ask. I think definitely with the budget, they're probably overachieving to be currently in the playoff spots. I mean, in joint second place, just behind UCD and goal difference. But if you look at the table, there's a lot of teams all bunched together, all within 4 or 5 points of each other. And it's going to be difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if Treaty can nick a playoff spot, but to actually win a semi-final, win a final, and then beat the Premier Division team, I think that might be too big an ask. But I think if to even get into the playoffs would be quite an achievement in the first season for Tommy Barrett.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And look, another great win for Treaty. Their great form goes on, and they're in the playoff spots at the minute, and fantastic for them. We'll move on to the team just ahead of them, UCD. A surprise result here, in my opinion, anyway. A 2-1 win for Cove at Belfield this weekend. Jake Hegarty got a double for Cove, but Colin Whelan made it 2-1 just after that with a penalty. And Cove got the 3 points. That's 2 wins from 2 for them after they were kind of struggling for a bit there for the last while.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that just totally shocked me. And if you look back at recent results, I think UCD went down to Cove and put 4 past them. And if I remember rightly, late last season, they went down there and put 6 past Cove. And they had been free scoring. And I really did not see this one coming, even though Cove had got a fantastic win in the derby against Cork City. I really didn't see them following it up and going to Belfield and beating UCD 2-1. But look, hats off to them. It was an incredible win. And they might even, after 2 wins in a row, suddenly be thinking they could be in the playoff picture if they keep this run going. And probably not a great time for Treaty to be facing them on Saturday, but Cove will be absolutely flying. And hats off to them. Fantastic win.
Yeah, I agree. And look, they played against Cabinteely a few weeks ago. I was at that. They were quite unlucky. I thought they were the better side overall. They just couldn't get that goal, and Cabinteely nicked one towards the end. So it's a shock result to get it against UCD, but I'm not surprised that they've got 2 results in a row, because they were playing well. They were playing better than how they started anyway. So look, hats off to them. One other thing we'll take from this game is UCD's title challenge gone. Think it's just Shels now.
Oh, I think it is gone. I can't, and maybe I'm being a bit prejudiced in this, but if you look back at UCD seasons, they often seem to take a bit of a blip when the exams are over in college, and they struggle a little bit in the summertime, and then come roaring back in the autumn. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they finished in second place, but I cannot see them putting together the run to challenge Shels, and if anything, the gap may even just get a little bit bigger. But I can't see UCD winning it. They may be more dangerous in the playoffs. They may just get it right, and they'll probably feel they didn't do themselves justice in the playoff last season, and they may do a bit better this time. I think they'll definitely be in the playoffs, but I can't see them winning the title.
Yeah, I think in terms of the playoffs last year, they've probably got a bit of a. They're probably a bit upset about how they went out because it was two late goals, one in normal time, one in extra time that knocked them out, and that's probably what sent Longford up that game alone. I know they won two more after that, but I think if you win games like that, you're just going up, and that's the way. Yep, top result for Cove, and we'll move on to our fourth game. Galway United beat Athlone 2-1 down in Eamon DC Park. Rory Keaton and Padraig Cunningham, who've been very, very not prolific. They've scored a lot of goals so far this season. Two of the names that stand out anyway for Galway, and what's been a, how would you say it, disappointing season so far for them anyway. But look, a good win.
It was a great win, and it has been a disappointing season. But I think John Caulfield will be delighted with their character, because yet again it's another late goal for Galway, and they've done it against UCD. They did it against Treaty. And this was a crucial 3 points. I mean, Athlone were ahead in the first half, and it would have been a bad defeat, because that is a bit of a derby. They're not that far apart, maybe an hour on the motorway. And that was a big win, and particularly with fans in Eamon DC Park as well. I actually watched the footage of that 90-whatever minute winner, and it was pretty spectacular. And you could hear the roars, you could feel the passion of the crowd. And I mean, I've been as critical as anyone of Galway this season, because the budget they have, they probably should be the ones up challenging Shels, and it just hasn't happened. But you kind of feel there's great character there. They get the late winners, and maybe if they get it right, I think the gap is too much. But if anyone can put together a run with the players they have, they could certainly move on and go well into the playoff places and be a dangerous threat in the playoffs. Another team that probably I was at the game when they beat Bray last year, which was pretty spectacular, and they'll feel they blew it against Longford. I think you were at that match, and they will want to be going one better. They have invested a lot of money down there. It's a very talented squad. They have underachieved. There's no doubt about that. But these late goals are a great sign of a side's character, and you could tell. Even just, I know I was only watching footage from behind the goal, but when that goal went in to win that game, it was just a special moment between the players and the fans. And it's games and it's goals like that and games like that that can kickstart the season. And I wouldn't be surprised if Galway go on a run now.
Yeah. And we'll just briefly speak about Athlone Town. Obviously, after starting so well, it's a bit of a shock that the form has dipped so hugely in the last few weeks. There might be a bit of trouble down there as well. We're not sure.
Yeah, I think what is it? I better be careful what I say, but wasn't there a couple of players went on holiday during the break, and they've been excluded? I don't even know who they are. They've been excluded from the squad now, and it's probably not a good sign. As you say, they had a fantastic start. They were top of the table for quite a while. And they've had a few results go against them. I think Cabo were the first team to kind of put off a shock and go down there and win.
Yeah.
And that was a few weeks ago now. But I know they've lost to Shels, they lost to Treaty, and they've been on a bit of a run now where things have started to go wrong. And they're probably one of the teams the likes of Bray and Galway will feel are the target. I think Athlone are still in the playoff places. I have to check the table, but they probably are the target for the likes of Galway and Bray, and they may well be a team that could struggle to compete for a playoff spot now.
Yeah, they're actually still just inside it. They're, I think it's goal difference separating them and Galway. They're both on 16 points anyway, and Bray are just 2 points behind in seventh on 14. We'll just briefly mention Galway. Just I know you spoke about them a lot already. Do you think this now they're starting to hit a bit of form, they might kick on and solidify that playoff spot?
Yeah, I would expect him to do that. I mean, there's just too much talent there, and you have to expect. And John Caulfield, I mean, he's won the Premier Division. He's an experienced manager. He knows what he's about, and he very nearly got them promoted from nowhere last season. And I think he'll probably feel himself they've certainly underachieved so far. But I would not be surprised if they kicked on now and strung a few wins together. And I would expect Galway to make the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's been a bit disappointing for them so far, but another result in the bag for them and another late winner, as you mentioned. We move on to our final game now, and this was one of the pilot test events with an increased capacity. I know, obviously, all the clubs had 100 supporters in. I think there was 600 at this one down in Turner's Cross between Cork and Cabot.
Yeah, I think they'll probably feel that it was maybe more of a punishment.
And, probably.
Pretty much a disaster for Cork. It really was. I mean, look, it's been a hugely disappointing season, but it just seems to be getting worse. I mean, losing the derby to Cove was a big blow, but then to go down and I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who was there, and I mean, it was he felt Cabot were well worth the win, and just Cork weren't good enough, and. You have to say it. There are issues there and there are problems. I mean, if you look at the table in Cork are on 9 points, they're already 7 points adrift to the playoffs, and they're another team there that, I mean, it's not that long, 4 years ago since they won the Premier Division, and now they're down at the bottom, the second bottom of the first division, and unless things improve quite quickly, they'll probably fall away and fall out of contention for even the playoffs. And it just looks like they're not good enough. And Cabot were worthy winners, and hats off to them. I don't think any of the Cork fans are saying they were unlucky or was a referee or anything like that. It was the better team won, and probably a big letdown, having not been able to attend games for so long, to finally get in and to get 600 fans there and to watch their team go down so tamely to Cabinteely.
Yeah. Just I didn't mention the score there. It was a 2-0 win to Cabinteely down in Turner's Cross. Villius Labutas and Jordan Payne got the goals. I was just saying because I didn't say it at the start there. We'll go on to Cabinteely. They're a bit of a mad team. That's 6 wins now and 5 defeats, no draws yet. They're still up there, still fighting away.
They are, and they're in the playoff places. And I suppose the way I see it is it's probably between Treaty, Cabinteely, and Athlone Town, and possibly an outside shout for Cove or Cork for probably those one playoff place. Even though Galway and Bray are currently outside the places, I do expect them to end up in the playoffs. And UCD will probably do enough to hang on as well. And I mean, I was very impressed with them a few weeks ago. I saw them play Treaty, and they deservedly won the game 2-1. And but then they went out the following week and lost at home to Wexford. So it's it probably depends on what Cabinteely team you see. I mean, I was hugely impressed with them, but then they have some very disappointing results as well. But I mean, having said that, they went down to Athlone when Athlone were flying high and beat them. They've just gone down to Turner's Cross and beaten Cork. So who knows? It's certainly going to be a roller coaster season for Cabot. And they'll probably end up there or thereabouts, but it's hard to tell. And they're another team that would be obviously a much smaller budget than some of the teams they're competing with. So they're definitely punching above their weight. And well, fair play to them. Pat Devlin is doing some job out there at Stradbrook.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like even you mentioned there, they lost to Wexford at home. They only lost 2-0. They could have been 4 or 5. You know, they were very sloppy. Wexford didn't take chances. Harry Halbach's in goal made a lot of very good saves as well. So, yeah, they're a bit of a mental team, Cabinteely. I don't know what to make of them myself, to be honest, but they're still there. And as you said, fair dues to Pat Devlin. They keep going, and fair play. It should be an interesting season, and that's it. That's it for the First Division show this week, guys. Thanks very much to Gary. Thanks very much to everyone for watching, and please watch, like, and subscribe, and we'll have more games coming up for you this weekend.
That's great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gary.